Next on AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show. Here's Brian O'Neill.
And glad to have you in the studio with us live this morning. Steuben County Democratic Chairman Shawn Hogan. Shawn, thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure, Brian. I wish it was a little warmer out, but we'll...
Wow, it is cold out there this morning.
Spring is, it'll get here.
Well, so many things to talk about. Let's start out with the petition objection, the successful petition objection against Steuben County Democratic legislator Randy Weaver of Hornell.
Right. As county chairman, I was notified of the challenge with the day it was filed. And the challenge was filed by local Republican operative Mike Palmisano. And the stipulations that he put forward, challenged, some individual signatures that weren't initialed when they were crossed out. But the major problem was the inaccurate heading of the petition. There was 3 sheets. There was 10 sheets of signatures turned in, and there's 3 of the sheets had either lacked or had a inaccurate heading. When I say that, it was filled out, either not filled out or filled out inaccurately. Meaning you didn't have the date of the primary on there, or the date of the general election, or you didn't have the party that was on there. All technical stuff, and in my mind, picayune stuff. Having been through this petition challenges and had charges filed against me years ago, I'm painfully aware of this can be used as the challenging petitions can be used as a political tool. In my mind, the rules and regulations of the petition process in New York State does nothing but try to suppress the vote. It is a process that's wrought with landmines, that you can challenge anything, whether the petition was filled out correctly, whether it was a 4-year or 2-year term. And then people who are asked to sign these petitions, Democrats or Republicans, basically you put the petition in front of them and they'll sign it if they particularly support that candidate. So what they have done is basically, in the successful challenge, is remove Randy from the Democratic ticket, which means if he didn't decide to run as an independent, that there'd be a lack of choice for that petition. Randy has represented the city of Hornell at the county legislature admirably for almost 12 years. And also, he's a known business person. He's a property owner in Hornell. He's very philanthropic as far as giving to charities and different groups sponsoring teams. And he currently owns a drugstore in Bath and lives in Hornell, New York at 92 Genesee Street. He recently moved there. So there were... it boggles my mind why Randy was singled out and why his petition was challenged. Obviously, there was political motives. Then it's unfortunate. We don't need that type of subversive politics locally. I think everyone's in this for the same thing, for the betterment of our region and our community. And I have great respect for anybody that runs for office, either Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal. I have great respect because you are opening yourself up for abuse and personal insult. But basically, my 32 years of public service as an elected official as mayor, and then 5 years as a school board member, so that's over almost 40 years plus of my life was dedicated to our community, and I'm still dedicated to our community. So I just don't like this partisan nastiness and to challenge someone's petition just for the sole purpose of trying to knock that person off the ballot is wrong. They were fortunate in the fact that they found an error that eliminated 3 sheets of signatures of Randy's, which left him 1 signature short of qualifying for the ballot. So we're in the process now. In fact, there are petitions being circulated now as an independent. It's not an independence. It's an independent. It's so anyone can sign it, both Democrat, Republican, registered blank, and anyone can pass the petition if you're a registered voter. And those petitions are due no later than May 28th at the Board of Elections. So the petitions are out there. We encourage people to sign the independent petition for Mr. Randolph Weaver, and he will run an aggressive campaign. Randy was a target. When he was running against Bill Nojay, our disgraced ex-assembly person that unfortunately committed suicide and did not have to face the judgment of the real justice. But he was challenged once again. So, it's enough said about that. I didn't want people to know. I mean, the only reason I have firsthand knowledge of it because I'm county chair and I was notified of the challenge when it happened. So Randy has decided to move forward as running as an independent, and the Democrats fully support him. And that's enough said about that.
Talking to Steuben County Democratic Chair Shawn Hogan this morning. Governor Andrew Cuomo is giving a lot of backing to former Vice President Joe Biden. Your thoughts there?
Well, I think Joe Biden is a very powerful candidate. I think he is more of the center-left, which I am, basically, personally, center-left Democrat. More of a common-sense type of politician in person when it comes to issues, bread-and-butter issues. What people want to hear is what your plans are for them. How are you going to make their lives better? And also, it's about Trump. They should be running against Trump and also outlining policies about Trump. And I think Joe gets that, and I think that he'll be quite successful.
New poll came out last week. I think it was a political poll. Had Biden 8 points ahead of Trump.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. It's a long time. I think, starting the presidential race almost 2 years prior to the election, that just boggles my mind. It's almost like these congressional races now. Once you get by the election, the next day someone's announcing to run against the person that just ran or just won election. So I think people need a break, but in this instance, I think this next election, and you hear it's cliche, but I think the presidential election of 2020 will be the most important election of our lifetime. Which direction do we want this nation to go? And what kind of example do we want our president to set, not only to our youth and to the people of this nation, but to the world?
Do you think the Me Too movement is going a little overboard on Joe Biden on the hair sniffing type issue?
Well, like any time when you have a movement like that, I fully support the fact, that there's no doubt that women have been discriminated against and harassed and experienced all kind of degradation over the years, and that's wrong. But like anything else, the movement, it can go too far. At some point, led by a few individuals, it can't go too far. I mean, for to be not be accused of sexual harassment or inappropriate touching, but just being overly friendly, and Joe's a people person. He's a touching person. He's a hugging person, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I guess in some circles you can't express sympathy or empathy or by a pat on the back or a hug, it's a sad commentary on our society today that that is not acceptable.
Bernie Sanders put up a tweet yesterday. The good news is that Trump is getting nervous, and corporate America is getting nervous, and the Democratic establishment is getting nervous. And he says they, and I think he's talking about the Democratic establishment here, is nervous that we're going to win this thing, and they should be. What do you make of that statement?
Well, Bernie's Bernie. I like some of his policies, but I don't think, that we have a field of 20 candidates, or 21 at last count. A lot of these candidates will drop out within the next 3 to 4 or 5 months. And it's going to come down to the top 5 or 6 the Democratic candidates. Bernie may be one of them, but I think that if Joe sticks to his message, Joe Biden sticks to his message and stays the course, he definitely will continue to be the front runner.
Talking to Steuben County Democratic Chair Shawn Hogan. Going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Stay with us.
Selecting a nursing home for a loved one isn't easy until you've discovered Hornell Gardens Nursing and Rehabilitation. Hornell Gardens delivers the highest level of care, compassion, and commitment with amenities and activities that will enrich body, mind, and spirit. It's a place that's close to home. Stop in for a tour of Hornell Gardens, located at 434 Monroe Avenue in Hornell, or to learn more, call 585-222-CARE or visit hurlbutcare.com.
The Ryan Agencies, your local, independent insurance agencies. At the Ryan Agency, they do the shopping, wading through dozens of top insurance companies to find you the best price. It's like having your own personal insurance shopper. Save smart. Contact the Ryan Agencies today, where they do the shopping for you.
Insurance protection you can rely on. The Ryan Agency.
Talking to Steuben County Democratic Chair Shawn Hogan this morning live on Newsmaker show. Congressman Tom Reed, the Corning Republican, put up this tweet last week. It's time for Speaker Pelosi to stop playing politics and put the USMCA trade deal on the floor for a vote. That's the NAFTA replacement, as you know. Reed continues, our dairy farmers and manufacturers need this relief that the deal will provide.
That's the new agreement that the president has negotiated between Mexico and Canada. It takes it's not NAFTA anymore. I think it's got another title, CanMex or something like that, trade agreement. Yes, and I think it will be good for our farmers. It does kind of level the playing field, and particularly around milk, the importation of milk. Another thing, there's no question that Canadian competition in the dairy industry and in the truck farm industry, potatoes and other things, can give our farmers heartburn here. And we should do all we can to support, our local farmers. It's still the number one industry in New York State, our agriculture industry, and we should do all we can to shore it up and support our local farmers, and and do whatever we can to help. So I don't know about why the bill isn't being acted upon. I'm not that in tune with the legislative, calendar of the Congress. But obviously I think Tom Reed's taken an opportunity to take a political shot on the speaker because of she supposedly in his eyes dragging her feet. If he's such a partisan player and a member of the Tuesday Morning Club that is supporting bipartisanship, why doesn't he reach out to the speaker and his Tuesday Morning Club? He's billing himself as this moderate bipartisan politician, but I just don't see it in his actions. So I think if that was really the case, if he was bipartisan and he was interested in getting legislation passed and moved, then he would reach out to the speaker with his bipartisan group, the Tuesday Morning Club, and make sure that happens.
On the topic of politics in New York State, Shawn, State Senator Cathy Young, quick demise there from what we can tell from talking to Alfred University Professor Emeritus Dr. Robert Heineman. Sounds like State Senator John Flanagan really stepped on her as quick as he could because Flanagan had opposition from Young.
She challenged his leadership, and obviously when you do that, you better have your cards counted, and and know that you have a good chance to win. Unfortunately, Cathy Young lost, and John Flanagan acted with retribution and stripped her of any of her chairmanships and really kind of relegated her to a minor role. I like Cathy Young. I think she was a very effective legislator. I mean, you don't rise to be chairman of the Senate Finance Committee without being someone that has talent and skill. I think she did wonderful things for her district, which covered into Livingston County, Allegheny County, Cattaraugus, Chautauqua. I know Cathy personally. I like her, and I think that she was done wrong by her Republican leadership. But I think she's in a position there where she can still continue to help her region, particularly in the agricultural sector.
Now they have and she went to work at Cornell University, and it's kind of interesting. There's a 22-year-old Democrat Cornell University student named Austin Morgan who seems to be the name that comes up as the Democrat candidate for the Young seat.
Yeah, that doesn't include our district, so Steuben County wouldn't be directly involved in that.
Right.
Her district, like I say, covered parts of Livingston, all of Allegheny, Chautauqua, and Cattaraugus. I don't know much about the Democratic candidate. I know Curtis Crandall from the head of the Republican chairman of the Allegheny County Register. A legislator is also running, and also there's an individual from Chautauqua County, the Republican county executive. So obviously there's going to be a Republican primary, and it could be an opportunity for this young Democratic candidate if he gets out there and works. Yeah.
And the story I'm reading from WGRZ says the special election will be November 5th for the Young seat.
Right. Well, yeah, that's election day. So there's no really special election. It would finish their unexpired term, I guess.
Okay, well, I'm quoting a mistake there.
Yeah.
WGRZ TV Buffalo.
Well, no, they're qualifying that as a special election because her term has not expired.
Okay.
So that election will be for a one-year term.
Talking to Shawn Hogan, former Hornell mayor, Steuben County Democrat chair. Let's talk IDA issues. What's going on with the Hornell Industrial Development Agency?
Well, there's a lot going on. Obviously, last week they had their annual meeting. I was out of the area for a number of weeks on a warm weather vacation. But they had our annual meeting last week. Obviously, they approved moving forward with the Rockland Silk Mill, a.k.a. Marion Rohr building. There's going to be 22 to 24 1 and 2 bedroom luxury loft apartments there, which is a industrial loft, which is a different kind of design. It kind of is going to incorporate some of the industrial look of the building into the design of the apartments. I've been working closely with Andrew Bodeweiss, who is principal of Park Grove Realty. They have done many great projects in our region in Rochester. In fact, they just are finishing and occupying a mixed-use building in Elmira. It's one of the cornerstone projects in downtown Elmira. And one of the other principal in this firm is a guy named Dick Crossed, Crossed, and Dick Crossed has been involved in the housing industry for years and years and years, from conifer to home properties, very successful. And as you know, they've also applied to build moderate income housing up at the Shawmut near the Fucci Memorial Park, which consists of 60 mid-level apartment units. I mean, just as luxurious, but the price points as far as leasing will be about half of what the market rate apartments are because of the subsidies that have been applied for. So we're looking for early May for maybe approval of that project. But in the meantime, they're moving forward with the Rockland Silk Mill. And the reason why this name Rockland Silk Mill, in 1887, an individual came here from Paterson, New Jersey, and started that silk mill and built it from scratch. And that's what Marion Roar actually evolved into, or Rockland Silk Mill actually evolved into Marion Roar. So there's a little history there.
Well, with that, we have to leave it. Steuben County Democrat Chair Shawn Hogan, who's also IDA consultant. I want to thank you very much for coming on.
It's always my pleasure, Brian.